Welcome in, builders. This week we're taking a look at Mictlan, Blood and Rain. When Atlantis was destroyed by Relay and the Atlanteans scattered, some fled into the deep swamps and jungles of Mictlan. Here they found a people who worshipped the rain as one of the aspects of their god. The Atlantean kings became kings of rain and reshaped the faith to their need. They found the secrets of the long abandoned blood cult and reinstated the foul practices of ancient times. Then a new god rose, hungry for blood. Now Mictlan is once again expanding its territories to feed the hunger of its lord. Isolation has made Mictlan a backwards nation, and its warriors use archaic weaponry and armor. The armies are mainly composed of slaves from newly conquered lands. The mage priests of Mictlan celebrate the two faces and two dominions of the hungry god, namely the sun and the moon, the rain and the forest. Well, despite their best efforts, Mictlan has made it to late age. More is the woe for them, I suppose. We have a couple cool things going on here. Having some Atlanteans arrive have spiced them up a little bit, but unfortunately, we have lost a lot along the way. Let's take a look and see how they've changed. For national features, we are, as a race, mostly humans, and we have some Atlanteans. We prefer a heat scale of +1. Our military is light infantry, and I want to underscore light maybe 3 or 4 times, with slings and javelins. We have tribal kings who can levy slaves, who are worse than militia. We have sacred Jaguar and Eagle warriors, and sacred Atlanteans who can enter the sea. Also, normal non-sacred Atlanteans, too. For magic, we have pretty decent access, about 2 in water, blood, fire, astral, and nature. Water goes up to, I think, 3 pretty reliably. So an okay spread here at first glance, but only nature and blood 1 are really accessible outside of the capital. So we have quite a bottleneck in recruitment, and that could be a problem. For priests, we have powerful. We have a holy 3 here. And we can perform blood sacrifices, which we will need to do because we are back to Dominion does not spread unless blood is sacrificed. Normally, you get candles from your temples, or at least a candle check. We do not get that. There is no natural spread. So if you don't have any god or your prophet out or anything, you will just literally sit at 1 candle and you can be wiped out by a random event for -2 candles in your capital. So be very careful about that. We've seen it happen multiple times, especially back in early age. For scales, we have a turmoil limit of +1, a sloth limit of +1, a heat limit of +1, and we gain 3 extra bless points. Overall, we are most likely going to have to hell bless. We have garbage troops. We have okay but hard to amass mages, and we got to do something to fight. So luckily, we are up to the high technology of primitive fortified cities. So at least they're not palisades, so we can go up a little bit. These are, I don't know if these are exactly the same, but this is like what Ermor was building in early age. Like this is, and Ermor had higher than that. So yeah, that's a little rough on that. For sites, we have 4 sites. We have the Temple of the Land, which gives us the Priest King, the Eagle Warrior, and a Nature Gem. We have the Temple of the Moon, Moon Priest, and an Astral Pearl. Temple of the Sun, Sun Priest, a Blood Slave, and a Fire Gem. And Temple of the High Rain, which gives us our Atlantean Leadership and a Water Gem. So an okay spread. I like actually having a little bit of variety here. It lets you craft something important or maybe empower somebody in something important. Overall, an okay spread. It's hard to say one of them is going to be great, though, because unlike a lot of nations who have 3 or maybe 4 of a single gem that you can count on and plan on doing something, this is a very low income, unfortunately. Units and sacreds. Well, we're going to see a lot of the usual suspects here. For the most part, we have not really changed a ton. Starting, we have Warrior. This is our Sling Warrior. He has a sling and forest survival. Otherwise, he's a human. On the upside, I guess he is dirt cheap and he has a shield. This shield isn't good enough to save you from crossbow bolts, but maybe another light range troop that could help a little bit. Tossing slings into crossbows is a great trade. However, at only 10 blunt damage, the more armored crossbowmen will probably be able to just shrug these off. Next up, we have Warrior. This guy has some armor on. I should note, on the first guy, he has a stone spear. 12 pierce damage is garbage. The second one, we've moved up to a bronze spear, 13 damage, and he's put on a little bit of armor. So he has a scale mail cuirass, which is iron. He has a hide shield and a leather cap. He has a sling. We have upped his resources all the way up to 8 from 1. So if resources is your cap, get the lighter guys. Otherwise, I would probably get these guys. At least having a chance to survive a hit is better than nothing, in my opinion. Next up, we have Warrior again. This is the Javelin variety. I think in general, the sling guys are probably better unless you're throwing javelins into something that javelins actually can hurt. So barbarians and lizardmen basically in late age. Beyond that, I'm not even sure this is worth it because you're paying 2 extra resources. You're paying 2 extra resources for a javelin. 12 piercing damage is not going to go through most armor in late age. Otherwise, he has a reinforced leather cap, but similarly armored. So again, just not great. As your line troop, at least he can maybe get some repels, but beyond that, don't look forward to him doing overly much. Next up, we have Warrior. This is the exact same guy, but now he has traded out his spear for a mace. On the bright side, his mace actually has 16 blunt damage, so you actually have a chance of getting through standard armor of the age at 16, but now you can be repelled by things that are longer. You're not particularly great with it. I'd love it if this was an 11 instead, but at least he's still relatively cheap. 9 gold, 13 resources, 7 recruitment points. Again, the javelins are pretty dang iffy, but at least we can hit things and maybe get kills, whereas those spears are so iffy to me. Next up, we have the Feathered Warrior. These are a bit more of a premium for sure. 18 gold, 13 resources, 21 recruitment points. Human stats, again, a little bit better trained. Their main claim to fame is they have the standard effect. This gives all units in the same squad a +1. It does not stack, so if I had 10 of these guys, you don't get +10. But it's usually worth having a few because they tend to die. Luckily, if you mix these guys in with the javelin troops, because they're the same troop essentially, they'll stick together and they won't run out ahead. That's often kind of a problem with the lost standards. Somehow they end up in front of the line and they get themselves killed. Kind of thematic to lead the charge, but also not useful mechanically. So I would generally grab like 1 of these per turn, maybe 2, just depending on how many you're recruiting. We have pretty crappy forts, so you're not going to be getting the huge numbers that you might think you would get in late age. Next up, we start in on a Sacred. This is the Eagle Warrior. Eagle Warrior in middle age was our recruit anywhere. Now it's back down to just the capital. And it's the same dude that we've had since early age. He's got a bronze lance. He's got a stone dagger. He wears furs and a leather cap. When blessed, they can fly. That's kind of their cool little thing. That means we don't have strategic move with them, but we do have the battle fly. 15 gold, 3 resources, 14 recruitment, plenty cheap. I think in general, even if I'm making my bless mainly for the Jaguars, I think you get these out of your cap, at least at the beginning for sure, because you can hold attack rear. And a lucky commander kill is more valuable to us than another Jaguar, in my opinion. We struggle to expand quite a bit. Next up, we have the Rain Warrior. This is a new entry. He can only be recruited in the capital. This is one of those Atlantians, and he has a bronze glaive that he's actually pretty good with. He does either slashing or piercing damage at 24. Excellent. He's armored in just a bronze cuirass. That's okay, especially if you actually use them underwater. There's only a tiny amount of range fire underwater, so that's okay. He's, of course, Sacred. He's a full amphibian. He has swamp survival and dark vision. So these guys are nice. I like that we can get underwater. There's only one truly underwater faction, which is Relay, which we hate. And there's several other factions who can get underwater relatively easy. But if you're able to, getting underwater just gives us some more territory. And it's usually a little less competitive underwater. And frankly, we're running with like both legs tied together and a chain on our ankles and blindfolded in this race. So any little advantage we can get, I think we need to take. Finally, here we have the Jaguar Warrior. We're back in Ascendancy, boys. This is a recruit anywhere sacred. 26 gold, 4 resources, 31 recruitment points. Not the cheapest, not the most expensive. They have better than human stats. They are wielding an obsidian club sword. We really miss our Moon Warriors in ages past. They had a similar sword and dark vision. I really wish we still had those troops because the obsidian club sword at least is pretty decent. So 11 attack, it does slashing or blunt for 20 damage. So they can actually get kills. Armored in just furs and a leather cap. Not shown here, when they take fatal damage, they transform into a were-jaguar. And I believe I saved myself a fight here. I didn't, boo. They transform into, they have a bite and 2 claw attacks. They are length 0 attacks, so that can be a little bit of a problem, but they have okay attack and they have decent strength. I believe it's 16-ish damage on those. So at least they can continue to hit the average armor target of the age. I think the Jaguar Warrior is who you're going to design your Bless for because this is your recruit anywhere sacred. Next, we have Warrior of the Deep. This can be recruited in underwater forts. So right there, you know we can build underwater forts. That is very good. This is basically a early era-ish Atlantian. He's got a stone spear. He's armored in a Sharksin cuirass and has a turtle shield. Has the Atlantian amphibious and dark vision. 1049 for the cost is not terrible. These guys are okay and usable. We also have the Returned, can be recruited in underwater forts. Stone Spear again, same armor, but this is on a Shambler chassis. So size 4, so you only get 2 of them per square. 11 damage, 11 attack, 17 damage versus 10 attack, 13 damage. I generally like the Return more. You're going to actually hit, you're going to actually get some kills, and I think that's more valuable probably than your density. Maybe you have like a main line of Warriors of the Deep, and then these guys can flank the sides. Or if you want to get really micro, you recruit 1 of these guys, and then 2 of these guys, and then you go back and forth when you're queuing it up, and that'll make them share the square. So you get 1 nice big heavy hitter, and then 2 little guys to help spread out the damage. Overall, this is a pretty sad lineup. I really wish we had those Obsidian Blade troops in the Moon Warriors still. That is a big hole that I wish was filled here, especially since we still have Moon Priests. But that being said, we do have some tools here. We're not completely skunked, so we have that. And our real power is going to be blood. So we just need enough troops to be able to get out of the early game somehow with some amount of territory. And probably deflect an early rush because we're so darn weak in the beginning. Heroes, Commanders, and Prophet. For heroes, we have 3. We have the King of Legends. This boyo is an undead that has come back. He is a Reanimator Priest. Comes in with Death 3, Blood 3, Priest level 3. Has generic undead traits. I think if you get him, you're probably going to be looking at doing some reanimation. Just some straight up long dead to help patrol your Blood Hunters would be useful. He also can summon in vampires just out of the box, which is really nice. We don't have that ability otherwise. And depending on, vampires could be good, but I think we're going to have such a high bless. We're going to be doing more Oswaldals. So, but this guy's a neat option, at least. We have the Priest King. He brings in air that we otherwise don't have. 2 air, an astral, 3 astral, 3 nature, 2 blood, and priest level 2. He shapeshifts into a feathered serpent, which is kind of cool. And he has Grand Communicant. This helps you boost how hard it is for people to dispel your rituals. Overall, he's fine. He can do some leadership. He has a bunch of magic leadership if you need that. Yeah, he's cool. Get you that air. If you get him, I think you can maybe get lucky and make a few owl quills. That would be rather handy. Our research is going to be pretty garbage. Next, we have Eagle Priest. Again, some air, some blood, and level 2 priest. Again, we don't have strategic flight on our other Eagle Warriors, so it's kind of a moot point that he can fly. Otherwise, he could lead a group of them around and have that strategic move. That could have been interesting. So he's usable. Again, I think I would probably just lean into using the air to try to get some owl quills or maybe some other low-level air stuff, some lightning res items or something that you might need, things like that. I would baby both him and the previous guy because there are only air access. Easy air access, I should say. For commanders, we have quite a spread here, and actually a pretty good spread. Most of these have a use, which is what I absolutely like to see. First up, we have a scout. He's a scout. Mountain survival, forest survival, only 35 gold. He's totally fine and usable. We have the tribal king. This is our main troop leader. He is 125 gold, 15 resources, 1 recruitment point. Our forts have 2 recruitment points in this age. He is sacred, so that's a little something. He has forest survival, taskmaster +1, and he is a slaver. So like blood hunting, you can go slaving. It gets you these absolute below militia garbage troops. Why would you care about that? You can use them to patrol your blood hunting. So go somewhere, grab up about probably 30-ish slaves, and then use those to patrol blood hunting province. That would be the main use for that. Beyond that, ferrying troops around, being a troop leader can be useful. Depending on your bless, it can help him a decent amount. He has the obsidian club sword, a reinforced leather cap, and Mictlan copper scale armor. So not the best here, absolutely. I mean, 6 encumbrance for just this is, that's terrible. We have heavy troops that aren't even hardly that bad. So he's not impressive. He's a fine leader. He can work. Next up, we have the Mictlan priest. This is probably our main blood hunter. Blood 1, priest 1, a 10% for fire, water, astral, or nature. 7 research naturally, and only 36 gold upkeep. So they are very efficient, but they also are very slow. So you're going to want a lot of recruitment places, and note you need full infrastructure. So we're going to need a walled city. We're going to need a temple. We're going to need a lab. So we're going to need everything for that. These guys can join in your grand communicants if you want to do that mechanic. We are going to recruit a lot of these. They're going to do blood hunting. They're going to get themselves killed doing that. They're going to probably be one of our main researchers. He's got a lot going on. The other option would be the Nauli. The Nauli is a shapeshifter. He turns into a turkey. That's kind of cool. Is Astral 1, Nature 2. Has a 10% for Astral, Death, Nature, Blood. He has 11 research, but he costs 140 per year. So he is faster, but less efficient. This is probably your main combat mage, so you're going to need to have a plan of what you want to do. In my opinion, that often looks like a lot of alteration buffs and maybe some Evo going up to Breath of the Dragon. Breath of the Dragon is a nice armor negating poison attack with decent AoE. It's not too high up there, and so these guys would do a small communion and then have a bunch of guys doing Breath of the Dragon. That's probably the use. The turkey's nice. It is flying. Is the turkey stealthy? Let me look at that. Turkey's not stealthy, but if he's on retreat and he's a flyer, he's pretty safe. It's going to be pretty hard to nail that turkey down and kill him. Next up, we have the Rain Priest. This is a recruit in cap only. 2 water, 1 blood, 2 priest. Has the Atlantian stats, is a grand communicant. 190 gold, 1 resource, 2 recruitment points, 11 research for 76. So in the capital, you could get these guys to be a faster but still somewhat efficient researcher. Do remember, when we're looking at this in efficiency, if you have magic scales or drain scales, that's going to change who you probably want to get. Like in a drain 2 situation, this guy's only going to be getting you 5 research. So while that's still efficient, that is really slow. That is really slow. Next up, we have a bunch of cap only mages still. We have the Moon Priest. This is an Astral 2, Blood 2. He's a priest level 2. We have the Sun Priest. He's a Fire 2, Blood 2, Priest 2. Do note he is old, just barely. We have the Priest King. He is Nature 2, Blood 2, Priest 2. He's a Slaver. He also is our best leader. He has 150 leadership. 325 gold. He's also the most expensive. If we go back down the stack, 285, 245, 190. 13 research for 130, so he's right on efficiency. But because that big cost up front, I don't think I would get him for that. This would be my ideal leader for troops. He could give himself bark skin, eagle eyes, and toss some spells out from behind the line. I do like that. He only has a crown on, so he could put on some cheap armor perhaps, just to keep him safe from crossbow fire. Next, cap only, the King of Rain. This is a slow to recruit, 650 gold mage. He comes in with Water 3, Blood 2, Priest level 3. So we do have recruitable Priest level 3s, and they're amphibious right out the box, which is nice. He has random magic skill of 110% Water, Astral, Nature, Blood. Do note, because he has Blood 3, he can, out of the box, summon in Bishop Fish if you are so inclined. That could be a good use of water gems. We do have another dump for those, though. Overall, I like this guy. Do note he has Gift of Water Breathing, so you can bring non-amphibians underwater. Do note that gives them quite a bad combat penalty, and we already have crappy troops, so unless you're just using them to soak attacks, they're not going to do too much. But that's okay. We have an option there that could be useful. I like these guys. A spell we'd like to buff our troops with often is Quickness, and he would be a good guy to do that, although probably better to just do our Water 2s, and because we can just get way more of them. These are so expensive. As a thug chassis, pretty garbage. Your best bet would be if he rolled into nature so that you could give yourself bark skin. So you'd have like bark skin, quickness, liquid body, breath of winter. I don't even know what else. Something like that. That's not stellar. You'd have to give him a weapon. You'd have to give him armor. He doesn't have fear. He doesn't have anything special. I don't think we're looking at thugging this guy, but that would be your chassis probably. Or maybe down here. Undersea forts, we can get Lord of the Deep. He's a priest 1 sacred unit. He's just a leader, has 100 leadership. That's fine. He is wearing full set of gear, although it's pretty crappy gear. We have the Priest of All Waters, a Water 2, Priest level 2. So if you're just looking for the quickness buff, this guy's more efficient because you're not paying for the blood. Although 245 gold is not cheap. So ironically enough, this guy's actually cheaper, even with the better pathing, but he's a cap only. So it's something. At least you can get some non-cap Water 2s. Finally, we have the Mother of All Waters, a Water 3, Priest level 2. Again, kind of that Shambler-ish chassis, not very equipped. 415 gold, slow to recruit. But, I mean, this is Falling Frosts right out of the box, and it's non-cap. So I'm going to say those are okay. I will point out, because I'll probably forget later, Rain Priest could Sabbath up and then do a bunch of Falling Frosts. Do note, we are very lightly armored, and we don't have cold resist, so the friendly fire will be real on Falling Frosts. One of the bonuses of Falling Frost generally is if you're well prepared to defend against it, it kind of just tickles you. That's not just going to tickle us. We're definitely getting the Ice Bucket Challenge cold headache here. Who would I make my prophet? I am probably making our original Tribal King my first prophet, because the prophet has a chance to drop candles, and we don't normally have spread. We also, because we are a full blood sacrifice nation, don't spread, cannot preach to spread our dominion. So you have to do blood sacrifices. That's pretty rough, in all honesty. Beyond him, I guess it would be Priest King probably, but they have other things they can do. I don't like prophetizing mages generally, so it's probably going to be Tribal Kings, or maybe something that you summon in could be interesting for that. As for national items, we have one national item. We have the Jade Knife making its return. It gives you a sacrifice bonus of 2. That means you can have 2 more blood slaves sacrificed by the same priest. So if you could normally only do 1, now you can do 3. This is going to supercharge your blood sac. In the early game, we're very, very weak to getting killed off by a Dom kill. But if you survive, if you can be strong enough, we actually can become the Dom killers, because you could pump out a ridiculous amount of blood sacrifices or temple checks. But let's say you have a guy doing 5 blood sacrifices from 1 temple, and you could just replicate that over and over and over again. We have a higher cap for blood sacrifice, I think, than anyone else in late age. So in theory, we are the premier Dom Kill Nation. Now, in practice, I don't know if that can really happen, but definitely something to take note of. This requires a Nature 1, Blood 1 to forge it, and 5 Nature Gems and 5 Blood Slaves. Do note we could use the hammer bonus, which would take that down to 3 and 3. That would be rather nice, but we don't have native earth income, nor do we have native earth on a mage, so that's kind of RNG if you could do that or not. As for national magic, we have a decent amount of national magic. Let's start in Conjuration. First up, we have Summon Jaguar Toads. These are sacred small toads, probably not worth your time. We have Summon Jaguars, Nature 2, and a Priest. We can do that. Always great to see. These Jaguars are sacred, so major plus. This is what I want to see on every nation. If you have sacred animals, they should be sacred if you can summon them. And they cost 20 Nature Gems, and you get 25. I actually don't hate that. That's a decent amount. We'll look at the chassis and you can decide if that's worth your time or not. At Conj 4, we have Summon Jade Serpents. I like these guys. They're just big bags of HP. They also have standard on them. For 3 water gems, you actually get 2. So at 1.5 gems each, I actually like these guys. Again, they're not super killy. They have kind of a mediocre poison attack, but big bags of HP. They can bolster like HP routing away from our humans who are kind of skittish. Can be pretty nice. At Conj 5, we have Summon Monster Toad. So for 1 nature gem, you get 1. Takes 2 nature to do it. Not very mage turn efficient, but pretty gem efficient, I would say. At 6, we have Contact Quaddle. Very nice. This is an Astral 3, Nature 3 mage that only requires Nature 1, Astral 1 to recruit, and 40 nature gems. This is where I'd like to dump my nature gems if I can hold off and do it. It's just a great flying mage. We'll look at the chassis. He's great. He's great. At 7, we have Summon Tlaloque. Definitely slaughtering that. It's a water 4. We can rarely get water 4s natively. 60 water gems. We'll take a look at those chassis, but interesting, if nothing else. Our other national magic is all in blood. We can summon Beast Bats. These are not super impressive, but they are really early. You could make Blood 2 your first thing you rush for. For 8 slaves, you get 3 bats. I don't love that. Unless somehow you're going to surprise somebody and like attack rear, kill their command, and that's like really vital to you, I would hold off. I don't love that. These should be like 1 or 2 blood slaves tops per. So that's pretty bad efficiency. At 4, we get Bind Jaguar Fiends. 16 blood slaves gives us 3 of those. Those are the Ozzle-Ottles. These are really nice flying jaguar demons. Great, great. At 5, we can contact Sivateteto. This is a blood death mage. I believe she comes in with 1 and 1. We'll look at that. At 6, we can bind Tsitsi Mittel. This is a kind of similar to like a storm demon, but he does like stellar cascade-ish or stellar whatever attack. We'll look at him. He's all right. For 10 blood slaves, you get 1. I don't hate it depending on your target. We also have Contact Tlahuapuchi. This is another blood death mage, I believe. At 7, we have Contact Onakwi. This is a pretty good blood mage. We'll take a look at his chassis. And finally, at blood 8, we have Reign of Jaguars. This is really good efficiency. 40 blood slaves give us 14 plus, so we can get our blood higher than 6. We can get bonus ones. It does require blood 6 and a fire 2. We don't have anything close to that. I think the best we could possibly do, in fact, let's just look at that so I'm not talking out my backside here. The best we could possibly do, yeah, is fire 2, blood 2. So we would need to boost him 4 blood. That's pretty pricey. Blood boosting is generally considered relatively cheap. That's a lot of boosting. So I think it's a strong consideration to make a pretender who can do this for you, because this is just really, really, really efficient compared to our Jaguar Fiends. 16 for 3, 40 for 14 plus. I'll definitely take that. Beyond those spells, we definitely want to grab communion so that our Nahuatl can communion up and do something better than just nature 2s if need be. We also can have several other mages who can get astral and they could join in communions in a bit of an emergency. Out of thaumaturgy, since I'm here anyways, Battle Fury is pretty nice. Our troops are pretty junky. This gives morale and attack. That would be rather nice. In alteration, I think the main 2 things we're looking for here are nature. Things like the bark skin line is really nice. Animate trees isn't terrible. Enlarge actually is not too bad. We're going to have a lot of nature 2 mages, so blood poisoning. This is a pretty good single target, but it always hits. Not too fatiguing, and it does 15 plus poison magic damage. That's pretty killy for an armor negating spell. I don't hate that. Again, I think we're really looking at that Wooden Warriors line. We'd love to get up to Oaken Army. This isn't too bad for us to commune up into, and getting our entire force natural protection +7 would be really key. That'll really help our troops out. In addition here, I think we're also really interested in quickness. We have a lot of multi-attack units, and the Jaguar warriors that we can recruit really like quickness. Before they get transformed, hitting twice with that club is really nice. And once they transform, that would give us 6 attacks each. Pretty darn nice. So we'd like to go up higher in that. So I think we would be looking at, where are you? Quickening all the way up at 8, I think would be ideal. Do you get there with our crappy research? I don't know, but we would sure love to have lots and lots and lots of quickness. Conjuration. I think you go as high as you need. So I do like the Jaguars as a break in case of emergency thing. If you are getting a lot of nature income, I think the Quaddle at 6 would be pretty interesting. Otherwise, though, Phoenix Power is about the only booster that we would get out of here. Could be good if you need that fire damage, and there are some nations who are very weak to fire, so maybe you have to do that as a counter thing. In Alteration, I should also mention, in Evo, with water, we can do rain pretty easily. So if you're fighting somebody who's doing fire and heat, you can rain on them. That's rather nice. As mentioned, Falling Frost is another thing that we can do pretty well. And we can do Falling Fires. So Phoenix Power up into Fire 3, and then you could pop off a few of these before you tire out. That wouldn't be terrible. And then I've also mentioned Breath of the Dragon. This is pretty good, and it only requires nature 2. So if you went into just a tiny communion, you could really spam this out. I suggest the communion because it's area effect 4+. So even just a small, let's say +2 communion, that'd give us area effect 6+, and that would lower the cost down to like 5 fatigue. You could just spam that forever. Armor negating, so against some of the heavier armored troops that we're going to struggle with otherwise, great spell. Great spell. We also have some astral, so we could get like Stellar Cascades with a little bit of work. Magic Duel we can do, not super efficient, but we could do it if we had to. Solar Rays, Arcane Bolt, Starfires. We got some little stuff here. In construction, 3 for the Jade Knife is really, really, really nice. And at 5, you can make yourself a Thistle Mace and Cornucopia. Both of those would be rather handy for your nature mages. You could do things like Swarm and stuff, or the Barkskin Warriors with the Cornucopia gems. In addition, I think Sanguine Dowsing Rods. Our main Blood Hunters are Blood 1. Blood 1s kind of suck. Blood 2s are better. And on a couple key provinces, maybe you could get a Blood 2 and then give them a Sanguine Dowsing Rod and be pretty happy with your income there. Beyond that, I think you do want to get to Jaguar Fiends at 4 in Blood relatively early. In addition, things like Blood Rain can be pretty devastating for someone who's not ready for it. We can do Blood Right with a little bit of work on some of our summons. So that's vampires. Where is my Blood Strength? I don't know why I can never find that spell. Whatever. We can buff our demons with +4 strength, which is really, really nice for them. And that'll affect a lot of our summons in. Okay, let's take a look at those units. Okay, the Quaddle we talked about. Again, just great mage, good leader, can fly. He is a magic being, so that's a little iffy, but He can just immediately cast anti-magic. That saves your demons, hopefully, a little bit of banish damage. He can do some bigger nature stuff. Great chassis. The Onakui, great blood summon. These guys are notorious for their Dominion Summoner. They summon in Beast Bats. So you could get a whole bunch of these and make a free spawn Beast Bat factory. I think Shabulba does it better, but that is an option here. Do note that they cause unrest, and they're really good blood hunters. So even without a rod, they're a blood 5. With a rod, they're a blood 6. Really nice there. Again, they can also do big summons for vampires or maybe even vampire lords. 2 death, a nature, and 3 bloods. Pretty darn nice. This also is a guy that maybe could be more interesting as a thug chassis if you had to, because he at least has flying. Maybe. The Civitato. This is the blood 1, death 1 summon that we can do. Do note she's a reanimator priest, and she has fear. 20 HP and better than human stats. This is more interesting for the thuggy path. Armor her up pretty well. She has a life drain attack. I think she could actually be interesting. She has the fear. Maybe an in-army thug could be another path. She's ethereal right out the box. So she doesn't have a lot of self-buffing, so you're going to be reliant on gear and ethereal. But depending on what you're doing, that could be okay. Next, we have the Faloke of the northeast, west, and south. When you cast the spell, you get one of these at random. I'm just going to give you the pathing. So we have water, nature, blood, fire, water, blood, water, death, blood, and air, water, blood. So if you get there and you can afford these guys, they're great. You only get the 4 of them. They are unique summons. They are demons. Just note that. I don't think these guys... Oh, no. They're always accompanied by rainfall. So these guys will auto-cast rain for you in combat. So could be useful depending. We have the Truahuapuchi. This is a death 1, nature 1, blood 2. She shapeshifts into a dog. She's an assassin, so we can summon in some assassins. It's nice to have that option in your back pocket. I mean, surprising somebody at a really, really key battle, and you just happen to wipe out like a key communion mage or something as an alpha strike before a battle could be the difference between victory and loss. Next, we have the Jaguars. Remember, they are sacred. They do have dark vision. They are undisciplined. You get so many of these guys, though. I think 3 or 4 summons of these could let you get an underground province. And then with that underground province, you could get some other underground fighty troops, and maybe you could take the underground. Not super relevant if there's an actual underground nation, but if there's not, maybe you could grab some free territory there. The Oswaldal. These are our main summon. Amazing troop. 33 hit points, good strength, good attack, okay defense, good magic resist for a demon, good morale. They're flying. They are disciplined. They have dark vision, perfect dark vision. They don't eat. And their attacks are all 13 skill and range from 18, 16, and 16. Very, very nice. If you get that blood strength buff, that would be 22, 20, 20. Very nice. Take your bless, of course, so could do something there. Do note they only have protection 6, so they really like to get a protection buff and let them go to town. Quite nice summon. Next, we have that Beast Bat. I'm not in love with these. I think they're too light. They don't do enough, but they can be rather annoying. A lot of bodyguards are going to struggle with 13 defense, so maybe you could swarm some mages in the back if you can surprise somebody. We have the Monster Toad. He's all right. He has a ton of Poison Cloud, and he has a good poison skin, although that's kind of irrelevant. He is sacred. He does trample. So you get a few of these guys and they attack rear through the middle of the line. And hopefully you can hold your guys out of that until the poison cloud dissipates as they get chopped down. Next, we have the Titzi Bitzil. This is the not storm demon guy. He does stellar bolts. He has 5 fatigue costs. So they're not terrible. They'll stop when they hit 50 fatigue, but that's going to be about 10 rounds. And it hits for range 55, armor negating, and 18 magic damage. That's not terrible. It is magic resist half, but still, 9 magic damage is not bad. You only get one of these guys per summon, though, and they are a little on the pricey side. But depending on your target, maybe that's worth your time. And finally, we have that Jade Serpent, just a bag of HP. He is sacred, so depending on your bless, maybe that's more interesting maybe less interesting. Okay, let's bring all that together. We have a nation who is really not progressed much from early age, and some other nations have had a similar problem, but none more so than us. We've lost our Moon Warriors, who their dark vision and heavy hitting two-handed weapon would be really useful in late age, and we don't have them. We have essentially the same summons we've always had. We have managed to get some amphibious troops in those Atlantians, so that's at least something. We can now at least build walled cities. So again, that's at least something. I think our main strategy, though, is going to be spamming out just cheap forts and a temple and spamming as many Jaguar warriors as we can. This is only turn 14 in this test game. I was testing on a different bless, and I'm starting to set myself up. I'm going to build here and here and here, all getting forts, so I can start really pumping those warriors. You'll note my economy is not great. We're on turn 14, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So not great, not terrible, but not great. If you look at my Dominion, spooky, very spooky. I am doing sacrifices here. I'm gearing up to do them here. I'm gearing up to do them here. I've done them in my cap since turn 1. I started with an Awake God and a turn 1 Prophet, and this is my Dominion. Yeah, I'm incredibly worried about that. That's not stellar. I would love to get into the water, but look who's out here. Etheria is already out there. I did manage to get a pond, and I'm hoping I can get into this one too, so that could be something. I got cut up by Archocephali and on Ulm and Bogarus, so I'm just pinned in every direction at this point. Very worrisome. This was with an Awake Bless and pretty hell scales. I want to show you a different test game. In this test game, we're on turn 24. This game had an Awake Expander. The problem I had here was the same problem you saw in the last one. You can't really expand unless you're in your own Dominion to get your own Bless. So I was at the mercy of where my Dominion decided to go, and I had to do a lot of like backtracking around. So on turn 24 in this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 at turn 24. Again, I just got hemmed in by people who could expand faster. I barely got this choke point in a daring raid against things coming in from the south. I've been a little bit harassed from the water. That's been rather annoying. In this one, I did find a castle site, so that was nice. But again, you can see that expansion is pretty iffy. I'm gearing up for a lot of sacrifices, and the infrastructure is just barely. This is the only thing I've really built. I have a couple under construction. So expansion is very iffy. I thought the Awake Expander would solve it, but because you're stuck inside your own Dominion, you're really at the mercy of where that Dominion decides to spread. And we can't even preach with our Prophet to rush that. So that is very spooky to me. That is really, really spooky to me. Let's take a look at Pretender chassis and scales. For scales, our troops are relatively cheap and crap, so we are probably dropping Turmoil and Sloth for sure. We can go up to Heat 3 if we want. We could go Growth, we could go Death. Luck could go either way. Drain could go either way. So I think we are going to do Hell Scales, which means basically we completely trash our scales, and we basically try to expand beyond our own scales and use other people's better scales for as long as we can. That allows us to get a lot of Bless points. Remember, we also get 3 bonus Bless points, and we have Recruit Anywhere Sacreds, and we have Sacred Summons. So I think that is the play there. For available chassis, we have Smoking Mirror at 110 points with Fire, Death, and Blood, and he shapeshifts into a Jaguar. He also is a Bringer of Fortune, so just 10% chance to get a good event. And he's a Fortune Teller, 15% chance to negate a bad event. Pretty interesting there. The Jaguar chassis is stealthy, so kind of nice there. This is a lot of pathing for good blesses that we would be rather interested in. I think he's fine. 110 points is a little pricey for a Dom 1, but remember, you're getting 3 paths. So every time you'd open up a path for one of these guys, it'd be 10 or 20 points. So if you just imagine we're paying 20 for those 2, that would take him down to 90. So that's not terrible as long as you're going to use that pathing a little bit. Beyond him, up into Dom 2, we do have Ghost King, and it's an Atlantian Ghost King, which in my opinion is the better chassis. Some people do like that a lot. We have Hunbalam. He, in my opinion, is not quite good enough to expand. He does get Sacred Jaguars. That does help. If I was going to try to make him expand, though, 13 protections, ouch. And it's 80 for a new path. So trying to go up and grab like Hard Skin, which is kind of my go-to for this type of chassis, that would be so expensive. That would be so ridiculously expensive. Hard Skin would be okay on your troops, but it wouldn't be stellar. In fact, let's just do it. So I'd want something, I'd want at least that and that. So we would get Hard Skin and probably Blood Surge. If we trash our scales, let's just leave that there for now. Something like that. Okay, that's doable. What else are we going to add here? It needs to be from a path that we have. Maybe we do like Fire Shield. I didn't really test Fire Shield, but Fire Shield's still okay. 120 points left. We have some blood. Probably Strength of the Flesh. Or we could do Strength of Earth. It's the same diff. We could give some attack skill. That wouldn't be terrible. Let's do some strength. That would put us at -2. Something like that. And then we could have one good scale. Maybe we bring our heat back so we don't have heat deaths. Okay, that's all right. So that's going to take him to protection probably 19, just as long as you're in your own dominion. And then you buff yourself. That would be a little on the light side. He doesn't have any regen or anything. That's a little spooky to me. But he does bring some troops in. This, I could play that. I'm not in love with it. Remember, we struggle to push our dominion out, so he's going to struggle finding a place to go. Beyond him, we also have the Bolon Tiku. This is a flying undead chassis. At 230 points, I don't know what you're doing. He's just a death 2. You might as well get a Ghost King who's cheaper and just pay the extra points for death 2 or for death 2. So I'm not in love with that. You could take a dragon in this instance. We're already going to trash our scales anyways. Of the dragons we have, maybe regen from this guy. I find dragons, because they cost 80 for new paths, hard to make a big bless for. Moving up to Dom 3, we have kind of the New World Titan chassis. I don't love a lot of these. We do also get Dagon, a very cool chassis that I feel is about 100 points too expensive. He does have grab and swallow. That's kind of his thing. You just eat units. I will show you a build for the Teto Inan, my favorite Titan chassis of this group. Beyond that, though, I guess you could make even more health scales with the Teotl of the Underworld. So that could be something. Moving up to Dom 4, Monolith could be fine. Maybe if you wanted to do a regen bless or a large bless, like large regen could be something here. We have the Sacred Geyser. We also have the Oracle, both of which I think would be decent for making a quickness bless if you want to go that route. We have the Colossal Head, the Statue of the Bloody Mother, and the Fountain of Blood, all of which can be good. Do note on the Fountain of Blood, that magic scale means you can only go drain 1. So just note you can't quite health scale quite as hard. Does have high blood, so you can make a high blood bless a little cheaper. These guys, just depending on what you want to build, could be useful. Okay, let's take a look at a couple that I built. All right, we have... he has a V2, so I'm not going to show you him. We have Hiss. This one is interesting. This is the one you saw in one of those test games I was doing. Unfortunately, the Horned Serpents are not sacred. Big miss on Illwinter's part here. Very sad. If these were sacred, this would be a lot better. What they do is they catch lances for her, which is rather handy. In this build, I've got Blood Surge and Vampiric Weapons. Vampiric Weapons got a buff where even if you kill the target, you get a partial blood drain, whereas before, if you killed the target, you got nothing. So it's okay. It's armor negating damage, but you have to wound them to trigger it. That could be a little bit iffy sometimes. Remember, when you heal HP via this, you also heal fatigue. So it really makes your troops just go forever as long as they're doing damage. I also took Blood Surge. The attack and strength are really, really needed for a lot of our troops. And our troops are killing enough that they can probably get a kill. And then once they've got Blood Surge rolling, they can really go. So I like that. Her main claim to fame is vampiric weapons tie really well with her attacks. She has 1, 2, 3, 8 attacks. So every round you get 8 attacks and they can all proc vampiric weapons. That could be pretty nice. She also has a skull necklace, which is body and head for 11, which gives her 15 protection right out of the box. So you can usually get low mid 20s with just a little bit of self buffing. She can also skeletal body, which helps her against crossbow bolt fire. So she's okay. She really would like to get some better armor. Do note, she does not have an actual head slot though, because her head is snakes, as is her skirt. So that's a little iffy. I think you keep this on when you give a piece of armor out. So you still at least will have 11 protection on the head. She has good fear. So between the blood weapons and the fear, she's usually okay. Just you don't want to eat like 60 crossbow bolts firing into you continuously or 30 heavy night lance hits. You're not too in love with that. She is not set up for Reign of Jaguars. She is set up for our death summons. So do take that into account. Like I said, she expanded okay. She often had to help go with an army and they'd have to work together. But staying inside your own dominion is key, and that was a big limiting factor. She would help you if you got rushed, though, so that could be some added value there. Next, let's look at Bad Cat Death. This is a V3 version of him. This is using the Dom 1 guy. When you pick him, it shapeshifts him into his Jaguar form. This is Smoking Mirrors. What I like about him is he has Fire, Death, and Nature. Or no, Fire, Death, and Blood. So that saves me some points getting them in. As you can see, this is an extreme Hellbless. The only thing I took good was Fortune Scales. That really helps us out because otherwise, Drain 2, Death 2, a High Heat, a High Sloth, and High Turmoil, you're going to be rolling in bad events. So this will at least help negate that a little bit. And even if you get a bad event, maybe it'll blunt it a tiny amount. And he's running Vampiric Weapons, Luck, and Undying. I found that the Luck helps make your Jaguar Warriors way more survivable. Way more survivable than without. On the other bless, which was Vampiric Weapons and Blood Surge, the attrition was atrocious for them. And so in the early game, that's kind of the troop you're expanding with. And having them just die in every single fight, win or lose, sucks. It really sucks. Luck combos in very well with Undying. Do note, Luck does not work on Undead, which we do have a couple Sacred Undead units, but not a ton, and not troop-wise. It does work on demons. So the idea here is between Luck stopping fatal blows and Undying, letting us go to -8, hopefully we negate a death blow with Luck, and I could just keep proccing every time we come back over Living and Dying. If they do kill us, we turn into a Jaguar Warrior. If we're in, well, at any point, but specifically if we're like sitting at the Luck proccing point and we're also hitting with Vampiric Weapons, we can just heal ourselves back over the Luck threshold and just keep proccing Luck over and over again. It's a pretty okay combo. I wouldn't say this is like stellar or anything, but I just want Vampiric Weapons to work. I just want Vampiric Weapons to work. And I think this is an okay iteration of that. We did a Luck Bless on Nidavigar or whatever it was called, and comboed that with Undying, but that was a very, very different type of troop, but it worked very well on them too. So I think it's decent here. It's a combination of something defensive and something offensive, and this would work all right on our Oswaldals, another troop that we would really like to summon a ton of, who are Sacred Demons, so we'll work on them just fine. I am looking for some major feedback, though. There's a lot of blesses you could do. I think we would like something defensive and something to help us get kills in any bless that we're doing. So something like maybe larger and regen, or I don't know. I'm really curious to see what other people like. I'm not usually much of a Hellblesser, so maybe I'm missing something kind of obvious here, but this felt all right. Having him awake also gives you a candle spread, which is rather handy. He also, while not using the nature for blessing, is set up that he could summon in gnomes or fey troops. So that gives us a dump for glamour gems. I always seem to pile glamour gems up, so that could be rather nice. He also can buff people with that big glamour once you are done with sight searching or et cetera, et cetera. This is a pretty nasty little infield mage. He could do Banefire. He could do the big nature stuff. He could Sabbath in if he has to. He could do the big battlefield blood for you without a Sabbath. Big glamour stuff could be useful. We have demons that have dark vision, so even if we just twilighted or nightfalled for those troops, that could be kind of a surprise little, haha, I took away some of your attack, could help us out. So I like this guy. This is probably what I'm leaning towards. As much as I like that other chassis, I just didn't feel like that bless was good enough. Maybe I just need a different bless for her. So post your favorite blesses. I'm really, really curious what people like for this nation. All right. Well, in conclusion, Mictlan is a nation that is stuck in early era. They're being helped out by some Atlantian boys that are giving them at least a little bit of variety. They love their blood. They have recruit anywhere sacreds that really need blesses to shine. And you're going to struggle. Your matchups are you really hoping you get an easy matchup. Let's just say that. Some of the harder matchups are very spooky. Very spooky indeed. We're going to struggle with high armor troops or high repel troops or just better mage corps. Yeah, there's just a lot of things that scare me as Mictlan. Hopefully we'll be able to do a decent run as them. I had a lot of bad test games. Let me just say that. So be very embarrassing if we got Dom killed. Be very cool if we Dom killed somebody. So we'll see what we can do and what we can make of them. All right, builders. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed my suffering. I hope this has earned your subscription if you are a new viewer. And if you'd like to support the channel further, you can always leave a super thanks. You could join me live for a super chat or consider becoming a member of the channel. As a member of the channel, you get early access to pregame videos usually, or whatever else I'm working on. All right, I will catch you on the blood fields, builders. Please give me some more god builds because I need them for this one. All right, take care. I'll see you on stream.